After I lost my job, I confided in my husband's family over dinner. His brother laughed and said, "That's what happens when you hire the pretty one instead of the smart one." My mother-in-law added, "Maybe now you'll have time to learn some skills." I smiled, ate in silence, then used my severance to launch a business, and hired every woman they ever insulted. I lost my job last March. I was the director of marketing at a home design company in Fort Worth, Texas. I'd been there almost 7 years. I didn't see it coming. New CEO came in, brought a few of his guys, and within weeks things got weird. Meetings I was normally in, I was suddenly left out of. A junior guy started getting copied on emails I used to lead. I stayed quiet and did the work. But I knew. You always know. They called me in on a Tuesday. HR and the CEO. "Restructuring," they said. "This has nothing to do with performance," they said. They handed me a folder. 12 weeks severance, full health benefits until June, outplacement services, the whole thing. They said they appreciated me. But I didn't feel appreciated. I felt like trash being taken to the curb. That weekend, my husband Travis and I had dinner at his parents' house. His whole family was there, his older brother Clay, Clay's wife Natalie, their 2 kids running around in the backyard, and of course, Barbara and Dawn, my in-laws. I should have waited to say something, but I was still raw. Still trying to make sense of it. So while we were eating, I just said it. I said, "I lost my job this week." There was a pause, like they were all trying to figure out what to say. Then Clay, who's always been the golden boy, laughed. Like, actually laughed. He said, "That's what happens when companies hire the pretty one instead of the smart one." I froze. I couldn't even speak. I looked at my husband, waiting for him to say something. Anything. But he just stared at his plate. Then Barbara, my mother-in-law, added, "Well, maybe now you'll have time to learn some real skills. You were never really in a secure industry anyway." I remember the sound of her knife scraping against her plate after she said it. That stuck with me, for some reason. I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. I just smiled, nodded, ate my food, didn't say another word all dinner. When we got home, I went into the bathroom, turned on the shower so Travis wouldn't hear me, and cried until my chest hurt. The next morning, I sat down at my laptop. I opened a spreadsheet and started typing names. Names of women I'd worked with who were smart, competent, driven, and pushed out. Women who were passed over, called too emotional, difficult, too soft, or not technical enough. I reached out. I asked how they were doing, if they were open to side projects. Most said yes. Within 3 weeks, I used my severance to launch my own agency. Remote, all women, all independent contractors at first. We offered full digital marketing services to small businesses in male-dominated fields: construction, automotive, logistics, contracting. I knew the pain points. I knew the language. I knew how to sell results. Within the first month, we had our first retainer client, a roofing company based in San Antonio. It exploded from there. 3 months in, we were up to 6 clients and 4 full-time team members. Every single one of them had been insulted, overlooked, or let go by companies that didn't value them. One of them, Jenna, was laid off after she had a baby. Another, Kim, had been told to tone it down after she spoke up about being harassed by a vendor. I hired all of them. We built something together. It felt like healing. And then, a year later, I got an email from a company looking for digital strategy help. I recognized the name right away. It was Clay's company. I almost didn't respond. But curiosity got the better of me. I scheduled a discovery call. They didn't know I owned the agency. I kept my name off the website on purpose. I wanted the focus to be on the team, not me. When the Zoom call started, the rep introduced himself. "Hi, I'm Clay," he said. "Nice to meet." That's when I turned my camera on. "Hi, Clay," I said. "Nice to see you again." He froze. His face turned red, then pale. He mumbled something about not knowing I worked here. I smiled, leaned forward a little, and said, "Oh, I don't just work here. I own the place." I let that hang in the air. "I don't think we're a good fit," I said. "But best of luck to you." Then I ended the call. I thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. A few weeks later, my husband told me Barbara had called him in a panic. She'd heard from someone at her golf club that I was raiding companies and stealing people, which wasn't true. I wasn't stealing anyone. These women had left long before I hired them. But what was true was that two of my new hires used to work at Clay's company. They were senior-level marketing specialists. And they were the reason two of Clay's biggest accounts left. Barbara was furious. Said I was damaging the family's reputation. I didn't care. Then, things got worse for them. I hired a woman named Evelyn. Barbara had fired her from an HR assistant role 10 years ago. Evelyn had filed a complaint after a male manager kept commenting on her clothes. Barbara had dismissed it as miscommunication and not worth escalating. Evelyn was blacklisted from 3 major HR networks in Texas. Couldn't get a job for 2 years. Now, she's my head of talent. And she's building our internal HR policies from the ground up with full autonomy. Barbara tried to get part-time work at 2 nonprofits Evelyn consults for. She didn't even get interviews. Travis, my husband, was quiet through all of this. Too quiet. It was bothering me. One night I told him flat out, "When your family humiliated me at dinner, you said nothing. That still hurts." He apologized.
Said he didn't know what to say at the time.
Said he thought it was better to stay quiet than start a fight at dinner. I told him, silence doesn't keep the peace. It just protects the people who start the fire. We're in therapy now. I'm watching how he moves. I'm not making any fast decisions. But one thing is clear. I may have been laid off, but I was never down. And I'm just getting started. Things picked up fast after that call with Clay. Word spread in their industry that something had shifted. We landed 2 more clients that quarter, both of them companies Clay's firm had tried to get and failed. I didn't poach. I didn't undercut. We just offered better work, faster turnaround, and actual respect for the people doing the job. That seemed to be all it took. Then Barbara did something I didn't expect. She showed up at my office. It was a Wednesday. I work out of a co-working space downtown a few days a week, mostly for meetings. She must have found the address online. She walked in like she owned the place. Tight smile, stiff blazer, hair sprayed so hard it looked like a helmet. My assistant, Rachel, didn't know who she was. She let her in. "Can we talk?" Barbara said, closing the door behind her. I sat back and said, "Sure. Talk." She stayed standing. "I think there's been a misunderstanding. We never meant to make you feel attacked." I didn't say anything. I let her hang. She continued. "What Clay said was out of line. I agree. But you can't just go around ruining people's careers." I stood up.
Calm. Steady.
"I haven't ruined anything. If people are losing business, maybe they should ask why clients are leaving them." "You're turning people against us," she snapped. "No," I said. "You did that yourselves." She started to say something else, then stopped. She turned to leave. "You think you're so smart now," she muttered under her breath. "Let's see how long it lasts." That was a threat. Not even a subtle one. The next few weeks were strange. One of our newer clients suddenly pulled out of a contract. No reason given. Then, 2 job candidates ghosted us right before final interviews. I started digging. Turned out, Barbara was calling people contacts from her old HR days. Spreading rumors. That we were a burnout factory, that I was unstable, that the company wasn't financially secure. It didn't work for long. A woman I knew from an old job called me to warn me. She'd been contacted by someone asking weird questions about my business. When I asked for a name, she didn't hesitate. Barbara. That was it for me. I put my legal team on notice. We sent a cease and desist the next day. Barbara backed off after that, but the damage had been done. I saw what she was willing to do, and I made a decision. I wasn't just going to build a successful business. I was going to make sure people like Barbara never had power again. That meant pushing harder.
So I did.
I expanded our services. We started offering training programs for women re-entering the workforce, resume help, interview prep, personal branding. We partnered with 2 local shelters to support women leaving abusive relationships who needed job support. Then came the big one. We got invited to speak at a national conference for women in male-dominated industries. I gave a keynote, talked about what it was like to be told I was just the pretty one, about what happens when women stop apologizing for being underestimated and start building together. The video went viral. My inbox flooded. Our website crashed for 2 hours. We got hundreds of client inquiries. That's when Travis sat me down. "I need to tell you something," he said. I thought he was going to bring up therapy again, or maybe ask for more time. But what he said knocked the air out of me. "It wasn't just Clay who said something cruel at that dinner," he said. "It was me too. After you went to the bathroom, I said maybe you'd finally understand what it's like not to be the one with the career." I stared at him. I couldn't even blink. He kept talking. I was resentful. "You were always moving forward." And I felt stuck. I didn't mean it, but I said it. And I didn't stop them, because part of me agreed. I didn't speak. I couldn't. My chest hurt again, but this time, it wasn't sadness. It was anger. He apologized. Said therapy had helped him realize how bitter he'd been. That watching me rise from that pain, while he did nothing, showed him who he really was. I told him I needed space. Not a separation.
But time.
He moved into the guest room. That was 4 weeks ago. And now, I'm starting to wonder if the real betrayal wasn't just his family. Maybe it was him all along. Travis moving into the guest room felt like removing a thorn. It didn't fix the wound, but at least I could breathe. I threw myself into the business. We were growing fast, too fast maybe, but I didn't care. I wanted the noise. The emails, the meetings, the contracts, it all kept me from thinking about what I just learned. But then came the audit. We got a letter from the state's Department of Labor. They were opening a case on us. A former contractor had filed a complaint, said we misclassified them, denied benefits, and cut ties unfairly. I was stunned. I treat my people right. Better than right. The name on the complaint? Natalie, Clay's wife. She had done a little bit of part-time blog writing for us early on. Just a few posts. Maybe 3 for months in. It was freelance, all above board. We'd even paid her early once when she had a family emergency. But now she was claiming she'd been an employee. That I'd fired her with no warning. That I owed her back pay and healthcare benefits. It made no sense, unless it wasn't about money. I went back through our emails. Every agreement. Every payment.
Clean.
My lawyer said it looked like someone coached her. Gave her the idea. My stomach turned.
Clay.
Or worse, Barbara. They were desperate now. Desperate enough to weaponize Natalie, even if it meant lying. It dragged out for weeks. We had to freeze a few payments to make sure we had enough cash on hand in case the audit went badly. A new client paused a contract, said they wanted to see how things settled. I started getting less sleep. And then I got a letter. From Natalie. Not a legal one. A handwritten one. Sloppy. Emotional. She said she was sorry. That Clay had pushed her to do it. That Barbara told her was the only way to get me to stop embarrassing the family. She said she missed our early talks. That I was the first person who ever treated her like she was smart, not just a wife. I read the letter 3 times.
I didn't respond.
But I gave it to my attorney. The state dropped the audit.
No mérite.
We were cleared within a week. After that, I felt a shift. Not just in them, but in me. They were falling apart. And it wasn't even about me anymore. Clay had lost 2 major accounts. Rumor was his commission got cut. Barbara was all but blackballed from the local HR circuit. Nobody trusted her. And Travis? He'd stopped asking to come back to the bedroom. He cooked dinner sometimes. Cleaned the house. But the fire was gone. Not just between us. Inside him. And I couldn't carry it for both of us anymore. Then came the last twist I didn't see coming. An investor reached out. Said she'd been watching what we built.
She wanted to talk.
Her firm backed woman-led startups. She thought we could scale nationwide. Open brick-and-mortar support hubs. Build our own training platform. Maybe even go international. I asked her how she heard about us. She smiled. A woman you hired helped me out of a toxic job. She said you were the reason. She kept going. That night, I sat in the office alone. And for the first time since all this began, I felt it.
Power.
Not revenge. Not rage. Something better. But the story's not over yet. Because I'm about to make the biggest decision of all. I took the investor meeting. She flew down from Chicago and met me at a quiet cafe just outside Fort Worth. No fancy pitch deck. Just two women talking business over coffee. Her offer was big. Bigger than I'd dreamed. 7 figures in early investment. Full backing for a national expansion. She believed in what we were doing. Said she wanted to bet on women who'd been underestimated. There was one condition. I had to go all in. That meant full ownership restructure. No half measures. No divided attention.
No personal distractions.
She wanted to know I was free to lead. That night, I lay awake in bed thinking about Travis. I thought about how quiet he was at that dinner. How he let them laugh at me. How he admitted that some part of him agreed. How he let me fight alone while his family came for my life. And I thought about how I stayed. Even after that. The next morning, I asked him to sit down. I didn't cry. I didn't raise my voice. I told him we were over. You let me drown, I said. And now that I learned how to swim without you, you want to ride the wave. I'm not letting you.
He didn't argue.
Just nodded. Said he knew it was coming. He packed his things the next day. Barbara called me that night. Called me a homewrecker. Said I wasn't cut out to be a wife. I laughed. Tell that to the 35 women I employ who can now afford homes of their own, I said. And then I blocked her. Clay? Well, his fall was the hardest. After he lost those major accounts, his company started looking at the numbers. Turns out, some of the gifts he was giving clients weren't exactly cleared. They launched a quiet investigation. Last I heard, he got demoted and moved to a satellite office outside Lubbock. No clients. No bonuses. Just paperwork. Natalie filed for divorce 3 weeks later. She sent me another letter. This one was different. She told me I was the first person who ever believed she could be more than just someone's wife. She wanted to get a real job. Maybe go back to school. I told her if she wanted a place on the team, she'd have to earn it.
No shortcuts. No PT.
She said that's all she ever wanted. I let her start part-time, helping with onboarding. She's good. Maybe too good. As for me, the business went national. We opened our first physical office in Austin, then Atlanta, then Phoenix. The training platform went live that fall. We called it Proof. Because we are. And Barbara? She had one last attempt. She showed up at one of our job fairs. Said she wanted to volunteer. I knew she was trying to rebuild her image. One of our interns spotted her. Asked me what to do. I told them to walk her out.
Kindly. Quietly.
But firmly. She didn't fight it. She just looked at me as she left. Like she finally realized she picked the wrong woman to mock. I started from a dinner table full of smug faces, laughing at my pain. Now I sit at a boardroom table full of strong women, building something bigger than any of them could have imagined. I didn't just take revenge. I took everything they said I couldn't have and made it mine.